Hello everyone, welcome to the series of spectroscopy, and in previous lecture we have seen instrumentation of colorimetry part 1, and this is the part 2 about instrumentation of colorimetry. In previous lecture we have seen that basic components of colorimeter instrument are radiation source, filter or monochromator, sample cell and sample holder and detector. See in the figure, students, from light source the visible radiations are emitted and passing through the slit, which narrower slit make the radiations narrower, and passing through the slit narrower radiations are passed through the lens, which focuses radiations on the filter. Then the filter or monochromator converts polychromatic light coming from the light source into monochromatic light. Because light source emit the radiation covering whole visible region, means 400 nanometer to 800 nanometer, means the polychromatic light. The light having more than one wavelength is known as polychromatic light. And this filter or monochromator converts this polychromatic light into monochromatic light according to the sample which is to be determined. Monochromatic light means the light having only one specific wavelength. Means this light is converted into the light having specific wavelength according to the compound to be determined. Then this monochromator light converts this polychromatic light into monochromatic light, and then this monochromatic light passing through the sample which is in the sample holder, and the transmitted light from the sample then comes to the detector and then finally to the output. Detector detects the transmitted light from the sample, right? In first lecture we have seen first two components, radiation source and filter and monochromator. We have seen that main two radiation sources are widely used in colorimeters, which are tungsten lamp and carbon lamp. And filter or monochromators, filters are of two types, absorption filter and interference filter, and monochromators are further of two types, grating and prism. And these prisms are also subdivided into two types, absorption and emission, and the gratings are also subdivided into two types. These all the types we have seen in previous lecture, and in this lecture we will see sample holder and fourth one is detector. In figure you can see the cuvette, means sample holder, which is used obviously as the name suggests to hold the sample. The sample cell or sample holder are also known as cuvette in UV visible spectrophotometer. Means they are used to hold the sample. Their geometry as well as material, means their shape and material varies with the instrument and nature of the sample to be handled. And the first condition of the sample holder is the material of the sample cell should not absorb the wavelength which is to be determined. Means the wavelength which we want to determine must not be absorbed by the material of the sample cell. And colorimeter instruments are of two types. First one is manual and second one is automated. In manual colorimeter, cuvettes are inserted and removed manually, and in automated colorimeters, these cuvettes are fitted with a flow cell through which solution flows continuously. Now we will see some parameters about the cuvette or sample holder or sample cell. First one is sample volume. According to the volume, based on the volume, these sample holders are of two types, small volume cell and large volume cell. Volume of small volume cell is 0.5 ml or less, and the volume of large volume cell is 5 to 10 ml. Means when a very small volume of the sample is required, in that condition small volume cells are used, and when large volume of the sample is required, in that condition large volume cells are used. Second parameter is shape of the cell. Majorly two types of shapes of these cuvette or sample holders are used. First one is cylindrical and second is rectangular. You can see in the figure, cylindrical means test tube type, test tube like cuvette, and the rectangular. And in inexpensive instruments means in colorimeters mostly these cylindrical types cuvettes are used, and in spectrophotometers, which are expensive instruments, in spectrophotometers mostly rectangular types of cuvettes are used. Then third parameter is path length. Path length means internal distance of the cuvette or sample holder. Means path length means the length, the distance covered by the radiation while passing through the sample. Because internal distance, this is the internal distance of the sample holder. Means in that distance the radiation is passing through the sample. Normally and mostly this path length is 1 centimeter. This is we have seen in Beer's law that the value of B is path length, right? The value of B is mostly 1 centimeter. So normally and mostly in most of the conditions this path length of the cuvette is 1 centimeter. Along with that, long path length containing cuvettes are also used, of which internal distance is up to 10 centimeter, and short path length containing cuvettes are also used, of which internal distance is 1 to 2 millimeter. Next parameter is material. This is the very important parameter of the sample holder, because when we are working with the visible region, the material of the cuvette or sample holder must be glass, color collected fused glass. When we are working in the UV region, the material of the cuvette is quartz, and in most of the conditions we are dealing with the organic solvents. But when we have to work with aqueous solvents, we have to use cuvettes made up of polystyrene, right? In visible region glass, in UV region quartz, and for aqueous solvents polystyrene. But in UV visible spectrophotometer, right? UV visible spectrophotometer, which is used for both the region, UV region and visible region. In that condition, the cuvette containing both of these materials, glass and quartz, is used. See in the third figure, the two parallel sides of the cuvette is made up of glass, and the other two sides of the cuvette is made up of quartz, which is indicated as frosted side, right? Means the two sides are made up of glass and two sides are made up of quartz. Means in the UV visible spectrophotometer, this type of cuvettes are used. Now the choice of the sample cell is based upon obviously transmission characteristics at desired wavelength, means the wavelength in which we are working, then the path length, shape and size required, and relative expense of the instrument and the whole project, right? So considering all these parameters, the sample cell or sample holder or cuvettes are selected. So this was all about sample cells. Now the fourth and the last component of the colorimeter is detector. We have seen that radiation coming to the sample is known as incident radiation, and the radiation after passing through the sample is known as transmitted radiation. This transmitted radiation means after passing through the sample, this transmitted radiation comes to the detector, which detects this transmitted radiation, right? So the fourth and last component of the instrumentation of colorimeter is detector. Detectors used in UV visible spectrophotometers are known as photometric detectors, and when a radiation is passed through a sample cell, a part of this radiation is absorbed by the sample and the rest of the radiation is transmitted. This transmitted radiation then falls on the detector, and the intensity of absorbed radiation can be determined or displayed by the detector. Means In these detectors, the light energy of transmitted light. The light energy is converted into electrical signal which can be read or recorded by a readout device. Right? So the main function of the detectors is to convert light energy into electrical signal which can be read or recorded easily. Right? And there is light energy means energy of the transmitted light. The light coming from the sample, the light coming after passing through the sample. So the light of transmitted light. Incident light means the light falling on the sample, and transmitted light means the light emitted or coming from the sample after passing through it is known as transmitted light. Right? So this detector determines the energy of the transmitted light which comes from the sample, and they convert this energy into electrical signal which can be easily read or recorded. Most commonly used detectors in UV and visible spectrophotometers are of mainly three detectors. First one is photovoltaic cell, which is also known as barrier layer cell. Second detector is photoemissive cell, which is also known as phototubes. And third detector is photomultiplier tube, which is in short known as PMT. And among these three detectors, these three are the widely used detectors, and further among these three detectors, PMT means photomultiplier tubes are most generally widely used. Right? So commonly used detectors are three: photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cell, then photoemissive cell or phototube, and photomultiplier tube means PMT. So the first detector is photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cell. These photovoltaic cells are also known as solar cells. Right? Its function is similar to the solar cells. Means photovoltaic reaction is the principle of this photovoltaic cell. So they to be operated, they do not need any external electrical energy. Means they can be operated without the use of a battery. And these cells are cheapest, and so they are used in inexpensive instruments like filter type, means the instruments in which filters are used as a monochromator like colorimeters, fluorimeters and nepheloturbidemitters. In these instruments only these photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cells are used as a detector, and they do not need a battery. Now, construction. First you have to keep in mind, students, that in a detector, first you have to mention the principle, then its construction, then its figure, then its working, then advantages and then disadvantages. These are the main points you have to mention in any detector. So let's see the construction of a photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cell. This photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cell is made up of two electrodes. See here. First is iron or aluminium. Means the base plate, metal plate made up of either iron or aluminium acts as one electrode, and upon this electrode means iron or aluminium, the layer of semiconductor material means selenium is deposited. Selenium acts as a semiconductor material, and upon the layer of this selenium, a thin layer of silver or glass is deposited, which acts as a second electrode, right? This cathode and anode. So three layers are there in the photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cell or barrier cell. First one is aluminum or iron, then upon it layer of selenium, and upon it layer of silver or gold. Selenium acts as the semiconductor, aluminum add acts as one electrode and the silver or gold acts as another electrode. You can see here, this is the positive and this is the negative, right? So iron or aluminum and silver or gold, two electrodes, and between these two electrodes, semiconductor material, selenium is deposited, right? And all of these three layers are packed into a plastic case covered with a glass lid. Now working, when radiation is incident upon the surface of selenium, this radiation means the radiation coming after passing from the sample, right? So this transmitted radiation incident upon the layer of selenium, which is a semiconductor material. This selenium emits, emits electrons, and electrons are generated at the selenium silver interface because the selenium emits electrons, and due to these these generated electrons are collected by the silver, and the accumulation of electrons on the silver surface creates electric voltage difference between the silver surface and the metal plate, which is either of iron or aluminum. Made it very clear, students. First, the transmitted radiation is incident upon the selenium layer, and due to this incident radiation, this energy, electrons are generated at the selenium silver interface. These generated electrons are collected by the layer of silver. So due to this, the voltage difference is generated between silver layer and iron layer. Means the voltage difference between two electrodes is generated, and due to this current will be flowed. Due to this voltage difference, current flows. Now, if the external circuit is a low resistance, means about 400 ohm or less, a photocurrent will flow, and this current is directly proportional to the intensity of incident radiation beam. Obviously, this current is dependent upon the generated electrons, and these electrons are generated based upon the incident radiation, right? So the current is directly proportional to the intensity of incident radiation beam. If this cell is connected to a galvanometer, this galvanometer shows us a current, obviously, and this current varies with the intensity of incident light varies. But here the external circuit has a resistance must be low, means 400 ohm only. So the amplification of this current is not possible in the case of barrier layer cell or photovoltaic cell. I am repeating the working, student. The transmitted radiation coming from the sample incident upon the layer of selenium. So the electron difference between selenium silver interface is electrons are generated. These generated electrons are collected by the layer of silver, and due to this collection of electrons by silver, the voltage difference between silver and aluminum or iron is generated, and this voltage difference between two electrodes results into a current, and this current is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light. Now, advantages of these photovoltaic cells is that they are being rugged, means they are very strong. And second advantage is they does not require any external power, and they are sensitive over the whole visible region. These are the advantages. Now, disadvantages: their use is generally limited to the visible region, and the wavelength response is close to that of human eye. Means visible region, obviously 450 to 650, or can say that 400 to 800 nanometer, which is close to the human eye. These photovoltaic cells are sensitive over the whole visible region, but these cells are less sensitive in the blue region than in green and yellow region. Means sensitivity of these cells in blue region is less, and in green and yellow region, means in green and yellow colored visible radiations, it is more. And high level of illumination are required in order to avoid the problem of amplifying the output which arises from the small resistance of the external circuit. We have seen that in barrier layer cell, the resistance of external circuit must be 400 ohm or less. So, amplification of the current is not possible, and due to the amplification is not possible, because of that, high level of illumination is nothing but the light, means high level of incident light is required to avoid the problem of amplification, and because amplification is not possible in the case of barrier layer cell. So, the current produced by photovoltaic cell cannot be amplified by conventional electronic circuits because of the low internal resistance. The last disadvantage is fatigue effect. Fatigue effect means the initial current is very high and then it attains steady value after a few minutes. This effect is known as fatigue effect. Initially the value of current is very high and then it attains a steady value after a few minutes. And fatigue effect can be minimized by careful selection of the optimum level of illumination. So, due to these advantages and disadvantages, these disadvantages are more than the advantages. Photovoltaic cells are not used in sophisticated spectrophotometers, but they are used in inexpensive filter photometers like colorimeters, fluorimeters and nepheloturbidimeters that I have mentioned earlier. Right? So this was photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cell. The second detector is photoemissive cell or phototubes. Here the sensitivity is in increasing order. The sensitivity of photoemissive tube is more than the barrier layer cell. First is construction of phototube or photoemissive tube. It is made up of a glass, right, evacuated glass. In that glass, a metal surface of which shape is half cylindrical acts as a cathode. Then a wire ring acts as an anode. Here is a metal which acts as a cathode and then here is the wiring which acts as an anode. This cathode, the inner surface of cathode is coated with a light sensitive layer like calcium or potassium oxide or silver oxide. This inner surface of cathode is coated with a light sensitive material like calcium or potassium oxide or silver oxide. Right? This is the evacuated glass or quartz envelope. In case of visible region, means visible spectrometry, glass is used, and in case of UV spectrophotometry, quartz is used. Right? And this is the with this envelope, amplifier and readout device is attached. Now it's working when here see photon beam is incident upon the cathode. This photon beam means the transmitted radiation coming from the sample. It incident upon the cathode. So cathode emits electrons. Cathodes generate electrons. Right? And these emitted electrons move towards the anode. Means anode accepts the generated electrons generated by the cathode. Cathode emits electrons and anode accepts those electrons. And due to this movement, means acceptance of electron by anode from the cathode, and due to this movement of electrons from cathode to anode, voltage difference between cathode and anode is generated, and due to this voltage difference, current flows. Right? This is the basic principle of these phototubes or photoemissive tubes. Here emissive because the electrons are emitted by cathode. So the current flows, and this current is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light. Because here the electrons are generated by the incident radiation, and this incident radiation is transmitted radiation coming from the sample. Advantages of these phototubes are they are more sensitive than photovoltaic cells, and because they have high internal resistance, the output currents can be easily amplified, and so these phototubes can be employed for measuring a low intensity of illumination. We have seen that here the amplifier can be attached because the high resistance in electrical circuit is external electrical circuit is possible, which is not possible in the case of previous means photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cell. So sensitivity of these phototubes is more than that barrier layer cell, and so they can be used for low intensity radiation. Now disadvantage is that exact metal or metal oxide coating on the photoemissive cathode determines the wavelength response and sensitivity. For example, a sodium coating is utilized if we want to working in the region 350 to 450 nanometer. Right? Likewise, specific coating is used for specific region, and quartz windows are required on the tube when the radiation is in the range of UV. So, these two are the main disadvantage of the phototubes or photoemissive tubes. Third and most important and most widely used, most accurate and most sensitive detector is photomultiplier tubes, which are in short known as PMT. They are the most sensitive of all the detector, expensive, and because of that they can be used in sophisticated instruments like UV visible spectrophotometer, UV spectrometer. Right? Here the principle is suggested in the name photomultiplier tube. So the principle is multiplication of photons, means multiplication of photoelectrons, and this multiplication can be achieved by secondary emission of electrons, and this secondary emission of electrons is achieved by using a cathode and a series of diodes. Let's see first the construction of this photomultiplier tube or PMT. Here you can see a glass envelope. In glass envelope vacuum is there, right? Now see, this is the photo cathode, means this is the cathode. Then after cathode focusing grid is there, then these half circular is diodes, and in most of the photomultiplier tubes up to 10 diodes are used, and after diodes anode is there, means cathode, then diodes, and then anode. Right? Means between cathode and anode diodes are used. Diodes are nothing but they have property of both cathode and anode, and so they are known as diodes. Diodes means each diode acts as an anode for previous diode and as a cathode for next diode. So they are known as diode. Diode means they have properties of both cathode and anode, and each diode acts as an anode for previous cathode and acts as a cathode for next diode. So that's why they are known as diode. And these diodes, each diode is charged at a successively higher potential, means each diode is maintained at 75 to 100 volt more positive than the previous diode. Right? Each diode is maintained at 75 to 100 volt more positive than the previous diode, and because of this voltage difference they act as Diode. Diode means anode for previous and cathode for next. And most PMTs have about 10 diodes, and each diode is covered with a material which emits several electrons, means 2 to 5 electrons for each electron striking on its surface. Each diode is covered with a material which emits 2 to 5 electrons for each single electron striking on its surface, right? This acceleration multiplication is possible because of this material. Now, working. When the light radiation is incident upon the cathode surface, electrons are generated. Passing through the photo-focusing grid, these electrons are accelerated to the sensitive surface of the diode. Means their secondary electrons are emitted. Means for each striking electron, 2 to 5 electrons are emitted. Right? So, emitted in greater number than initially striking the diode. These electrons are further accelerated to the surface of next diode, maintain at a higher potential where the number of electrons is again increased by a factor of 4 or 5. And this process is repeated several times until a large number of electrons arrive at a collector. Finally, the number of electrons falling on the collector measures the intensity of light incident on the cathode surface. And by a photomultiplier tube, the overall amplification factor of about 10⁶ can be achieved. See in the figure, here on photocathode, the light photon is incident, which is coming from the sample. After passing through the focusing grid, this light accelerated to the first diode, right? And this diode is coated with the sensitive metal material which emits 4 to 5 electrons for each electron. Means if 2 electrons are striking this diode emits 8 to 10 electrons, right? Likewise only this multiplication occurs. You can see in the figure here the thickness of the radiation is increasing successively, right? The thickness of the radiation is in increasing order, which means multiplication of electrons takes place. That's why only this is known as photomultiplier tube. I am repeating, student. Photomultiplier tube is made up of cathode, 10 diode and then anode. The radiation coming from the sample incident upon the cathode. Then this radiation then cathode emits electron. Then these electrons incident upon the first diode. Each diode is covered with a metal material which emits 4 to 5 electrons for each electron, right? So the electrons incident upon the diode are multiplied successively, and so the number of electrons increases repeatedly. So photomultiplier tube, and finally we can get amplification factor of about 10⁶, right? So because of this amplification factor, the output of a photomultiplier tube is only several milliampere. So they can be used to measure intensity of about 200 times weaker than those measurable with a photoelectric cell, and the response time of photomultiplier tube is only 10⁻⁹ seconds, means very quick. And because of this amplification factor, sensitivity of this photomultiplier tube is very high, right? I have said that sensitivity is in increasing order. Photovoltaic cell or barrier layer cell has least sensitivity, then photoemissive cell or photo tube has more sensitivity than barrier layer cell and less sensitivity than photomultiplier tube. And the photomultiplier tube has highest sensitivity. And because of that, these are very expensive and they are widely used in sophisticated instruments. But the disadvantage is they must be carefully shielded from the stray light to have accurate results. We have discussed earlier that stray light is the light reaching to the detector without passing through the sample. So, because of highest sensitivity, this photomultiplier tube also measures the intensity of this stray light. So, these tubes must be shielded from the stray light. This is the only disadvantage. And the other disadvantage is expense, means cost. But if we want to achieve higher sensitivity, we have to pay for it, right? So it is not an actual disadvantage. So this was all about the detectors, and this was all about the main core components about the instrument colorimeter. First component is sample holder, we have seen today, and the second component is detectors, right? And the very first component we can say the radiation source, then the second component is filter or monochromator, third one is sample cell, and the fourth one is detector. So this was all about the instrumentation of colorimeters. Thank you.